Okay, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good day, good welcome, good morning. Anything else I missed out there?
That's a very
Brunch.
somber tone, this one.
Is it? Welcome, one and all, whatever time of day it is, to Theory of Anything podcast episode 48, part 2.
Heck yeah.
Oh, yes. Here we are again. A warm welcome to you all. How are you?
Thank you. It's good.
I can't tell if you're asking us or the audience.
Wow.
Waiting a while for it.
Start with Ford and Devon. How are you both? All right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Good. And we are here today to do our We Review episode, the second part to episode 48, which we are going to hand over to Ford in a moment because he knows mostly what we're going to be talking about because he's the one who suggested it or nominated this particular book that we're talking about today, having read it. But before we do that and get to our assignment chat, let's have we got anything else anybody wanted to add? Some pickups, I believe.
Well, I had a bit of a sad story. Earlier today, I tried to install Chrome, the browser for your computer, and for some reason, it just would not install, and I couldn't understand it, but it was fine. I moved on, as you do. Yeah. But I came back to it on my PC just now. It had the gall to say, why not try Google Chrome or whatever? I was like, oh, you cheeky boy. I tried. You wouldn't have it.
That is a sad story.
Yeah, very sad.
You always need to have at least 2 browsers on your computer or iPad or phone or whatever.
Really?
In case one of your browsers, if you've only got one, if you rely exclusively on one browser and that breaks for some reason, what are you going to do to reinstall any software that you need to reinstall?
Yeah. Wow, I hadn't thought of that.
Good point.
Why would you even get Chrome? That's the question.
Well, because there are apps you can get, and there's a way in which you can view your PC from your phone if you have Chrome on both your phone and your whatever. Okay. So yeah, I was just pretty interested in that, and I was just like, I'll give up.
Let's talk more about that in the next episode, shall we? When we do technology and things like that.
Oh my. I mean, that's all I have to share, but we can try, I suppose.
Well, by then, hopefully, you'll be able to tell us whether you've succeeded in installing Chrome on your computer.
So pick up of a pickup.
The saga continues. All right.
So let's get on with it then, shall we?
And now it's time for book assignment chatting.
Right. Well, I think we're going to hand over to Ford because he's our he's literally our literal expert.
Wow.
Are you?
I mean, I wouldn't call myself that.
You're literally the most literal person that we have on the podcast.
If you include studies, I think Devon's probably read a lot more than I have.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think you might have more to say about what we're going to be talking about. So you're going to introduce what we read. I'm sure the listeners might well remember what we read. I'll hand it over to you, Ford.
Indeed. So we've been reviewing this time, as you probably tell from the title of this podcast, we're listening to The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, which is a series of short stories. And we have collectively listened to the first one, which is A Scandal in Bohemia, which is not at all set in Bohemia. So that's quite interesting.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the king of Bohemia, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Sherlock, yeah.
My first question to you guys is, does wedlock suit you fellas? Have you gained 7 pounds after marriage?
I think so.
Does that come out of the story? I can't remember that.
Yeah, it's the first thing he says to Watson when he comes back after being married or whatever. He says, wedlock clearly suits you. You've gained 7 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very rude. That's right at the beginning, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Flew right by me. I didn't hear that. So I put my hand up. I didn't read, as you suggested. I listened to the reading of this book, just simply because of time. I think it's about 50 minutes to listen to. I don't know about.
Yeah, that's a lot longer than I would have thought for a short story. But
it's not long.
Yes, they were released one at a time in the Strand magazine. I heard somewhere that this was the first ever appearance of Sherlock Holmes, and that's not true. There were 2 stories before this, so someone needs to stop saying that. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I mean, I've never read a Sherlock Holmes book before. It's not similar to what I would have thought that it would be.
Okay.
It's not as old language, old Englishy. It's actually okay to read,
Yeah.
I think it was alright. I think there's quite a bit of wit in it, you know.
Did you read or listen to it?
Read. I got it on PDF.
Oh wow, well done.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's over 100 years old, so you would have thought, like you say. I mean, maybe they've translated it. I don't know if this is a different edition or something, but yeah, no, I like the fact that actually it's not that hard to understand.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah. Has that answered the question that Ford asked, Devon? What did you think to it? Not giving much away so far.
I mean, I'm not going to rate it out of 10 yet. I mean, I haven't got a certain something out of some things.
Okay. He's still making up his mind as we speak.
Yeah.
Okay, as I think I've used this line before, if you're asking me now, were you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I quite liked it.
Oh, okay.
To quote another famous novel that we all enjoy. Yeah, I did enjoy it. I began to think at the beginning, oh no, here we are again in the realms of Pilgrim's Progress, you know, something that's rather difficult to follow.
Right.
Simply because of the style of writing and the style of reading. But you kind of alluded to the fact that actually it wasn't as dated as you thought it was.
Yeah.
And as I've said this before, whenever I hear this kind of the way in which something's written, it takes me a little while to get into it. But then I begin. I remember watching Romeo and Juliet, the film.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
the fairly recently made, within the last 15 years or so.
Leonardo DiCaprio one.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. And when you first watch that, you're kind of blown away by it being a modern interpretation on a classic literature. But by the time I'm half an hour into it, my brain is in sync with it, and I get more from it. So that's probably why I missed that joke that you said at the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't quite in tune to it yet, but as this listening to it progressed, I began to really connect with it and fully enjoy the plot. I thought it was interesting. One thing I think about it being dated was its attitude. Sherlock almost seems to be shocked that a woman could be intelligent.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a fair point to make? She gets the better of him, doesn't she? This story. I don't know if you want to tell listeners what the outline of the story is. You're probably better placed to do that for denying.
Yes.
Go on, give it a go.
Okay, so we start the story. There's a letter been delivered to Sherlock Holmes, and it says that someone is coming to him of great importance, and it's been known that he's trustworthy and whatever. So this guy shows up in a mask. And just a quick note, I watched the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes TV series. It's quite old in all of itself, but this guy shows up, and he's got his paper thin sort of just eye mask, and I'm thinking that is cheap. I mean, really? Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. In preparation for this, I've got to explore all the different mediums,
Yes.
Anyway, so we soon learn that it's actually a king of Bohemia. Yeah. He's come because a woman has scandalous information on this king.
Okay.
Anyone else want to pick anything up?
Yeah, in the form of some kind of photograph,
I think. Compromising photos, because Irene Adler is the woman, and she was a previous lover of King Wilhelm, who is now engaged to someone else. So basically she's trying to blackmail him with some interesting photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
And then the plot continues by Sherlock saying, well, I'm sure I can retrieve this photograph that will do you no good if it comes out. And Irene Adler, did you say?
Yeah.
She ends up getting the better of him, doesn't she, in terms of seeing what he's planning before he does it.
Yeah, well, there's a sort of subplot kind of type situation where he dresses as a sort of a hobo or something, and he sees Irene Adler and some man rush off to a church. So he follows them, and then he gets pulled into the wedding or whatever.
As a witness, yeah.
So there's that little bit, and then we end it on the fact that Sherlock Holmes sort of he sets up a whole scene in front of Irene Adler's house. When she pulls up, there's a scuffle, and Sherlock Holmes in disguise gets punched out, and then she drags him into the house. What was it? They fake a fire so that then she will show him where the the painting is.
Rush to retrieve the picture. Yeah. Yeah.
And so with that sort of success, he now knows where the painting is. He comes back the next day with Watson and the king, and it turns out she's fled because she sort of figured out that actually this was all a trick, and they kind of part on admirable terms because she writes a letter saying, "Yeah, fair game. You do
good respect.
You played me." Yeah. And then he says like as you alluded to earlier, he said, how did he talk about the woman?
I think the phrase "damning with faint praise" came to mind. I didn't make notes. I did mean to listen to it whilst making notes, and I couldn't at the time I was listening. But yeah, the comment was that well, for a woman, she did really well. You know, she got the better of me, sort of thing. Yeah, did that sort of ring true with you?
Yeah. I mean, well, because it's Sherlock Holmes, it's hard to know how much of that is because she's a woman and how much of that is because he's
arrogant.
Yeah, because he's arrogant towards everyone, I thought. But...
He is arrogant. I mean, he's arrogant to his sidekick, isn't he, Watson?
If we'd read some of the later stories as well, it would have come through a bit better. Because I was interested how you'd find the adaptation of Sherlock Holmes. That he's actually a little kinder than you might have seen in the Sherlock TV show or the films with Robert Downey Jr. But in those, he's actually pretty horrible. Right. Yeah, but in this, he'll, if a woman comes in and she's all shaky or whatever, he'll say, "Oh, just sit down. Don't worry about it. We'll talk this through." You know, he can be kind. But in this story, it doesn't come through very well. But yeah, so have you guys? What are your impressions of other adaptations?
Oh, that's a question.
Generally,
yeah. Have you seen the Sherlock Holmes TV? Oh, sorry, the Sherlock TV show or the Sherlock Holmes films?
Yes,
I'm sure I have seen like you say, the Robert Downey Jr. was it?
Yeah.
Film, but it goes back so far in my memory, I've kind of can't recall much of it. So yeah, I don't think I was that wowed by anything Sherlock Holmes before.
Okay.
But, sorry. Yeah.
That's fair.
In every other medium I've seen him in, like the TV show and the films, they seem to try and make him almost autistic to try and explain how smart he is and how I don't know, attention to detail he has.
Yeah.
Which is why obviously in the TV show, which I assume in the TV show and the films, that he doesn't have that much good social skills. So,
yeah.
Like with the comforting a woman, he just doesn't do that. He kind of goes, "What are you doing? Like, where are you going? Let's just get down to the thing or whatever."
Yeah, tell me the story and get over it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He doesn't really have that kind of emotional side to him. That's very good for the social skills.
I assume that's to introduce a flaw or to explain his genius or something.
Yeah, because obviously in the books he's just like what it seems like he's more like an ordinary guy, but just really good. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think the TV show was a lot better than the films. I enjoyed the Benedict Cumberbatch one a lot more than the Robert Downey Jr. one. Not because Robert Downey Jr. doesn't play a good Sherlock, but because that the setting and like the stories and everything was a lot deeper. The TV show, because you got a lot more time as well, screen time. But yeah,
I think the very concept of Sherlock Holmes, the very concept of Sherlock Holmes has been mocked quite a bit because it's, you know, of how absurd it is that he's so smart and, you know, whatever. But I actually quite like the idea of a character who's actually smart, because you get geniuses in a lot of Bond films or comic book films, and they're not smart. They just surround themselves with cronies that are absolute goobers, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking, who am I thinking of? Like, Lex Luthor from the Superman films. I don't know if you've seen that. The originals. Yeah, he's just so kooky. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least...
And they're always bad guys, aren't they?
Yeah.
All the smart guys are bad guys.
Yeah, the heroes are just...
They're strong, basically, and overcome. Yeah.
It's quite odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I at least like this Sherlock Holmes. Well, no, I like the idea of Sherlock Holmes just because everyone else isn't just dumb, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
He is actually very smart.
That brings to mind another show that I've been watching recently, a TV show called Prodigal Son. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it stars... who does it star? Michael Sheen, that's right.
Yeah.
Michael Sheen as a serial killer who's in prison, but his son is the main character in it, and he is a criminal psychologist who's absolutely genius at looking at a scene of a crime and working out what happened. So that's kind of the basis of the whole series, really, is that he solves crimes in a very clever way, you know.
Mm.
So that character reminded me a lot of Sherlock Holmes for what I knew of him. But
it's similar in the TV show called Hannibal. I don't know if you guys seen it.
Yeah.
But you got the main detective guy who basically has this. I think he's got a disorder which makes him very, very empathetic. So he goes into a crime scene and he can just put himself in the position of the person who committed the crime.
Okay.
And he can work out what happened because I would have done this and then I would go here, and he would solve mysteries like that. And that reminded me of Sherlock as well. I think a lot of crime scene, or not even just crime scene, just any kind of detective TV shows or films, it all comes back to Sherlock, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of the way he deducts things, he's not deducting, by the way. I mean, I think everyone's probably heard this, but he's abducting, not deducting. Just FYI. Just going to throw that out there.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? Yeah.
What's the difference?
Deducting is how do I explain it? It's more factual. It's stuff you can know. Abducting is kind of more abstract, so you can kind of. I think that's where the ab comes from. So Sherlock obviously sees mud on the boots, like thick, and they've been scraped poorly. So he figures, he guesses. Essentially, it's more of a guessing situation.
Game,
Yeah.
But there is a line in this, and this is one of the lines I would have written down if I could have at the time of listening, where he says the difference between guessing the truth and working it out because of the facts, the truth and the facts, that you don't make your own. There's a danger, he says. In
yes, I've got that written down actually.
Have you? Oh, good. Let's hear it then, because I would love to have be able to quote it, and I can't remember what he said exactly.
I have no data. It's foolish to draw conclusions without data. Inevitably, one twists facts to suit theories rather than theories to suit facts.
Yes, that's a very important line, I thought, in the whole story of the character of Sherlock Holmes, really. Say that last bit again.
One inevitably twists facts to suit theories rather than theories to suit facts.
Yeah. And I know we don't do politics or anything like that here.
Oh my.
But I thought all the conspiracy theories and stuff like that are going on in the real world now. I know we're here to talk about Sherlock Holmes, but I thought that is exactly the problem with what a lot of people do these days.
Confirmation bias, isn't it?
Twist the facts to suit the theories.
Yeah.
Right.
Confirmation bias. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I thought that was quite. It jumped out at me when I heard that. Yeah.
Speaking of other famous quotes that come from these stories, you have "For you see, yet you do not observe." Don't know if you've heard that one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And lastly, data. I need data. I cannot make bricks without clay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
Have you not? Oh, okay. A lot of famous quotes come from these stories over 100 years ago, so it's pretty cool.
Was it written by Arthur Conan Doyle? A very clever man by the sounds of it, as he created this character.
Speaking of Arthur Conan Doyle, I have something here. But you mentioned Douglas Adams a minute ago. You said there's a quote from Douglas Adams.
Actually, I quite liked it, yeah.
I said this when we were talking about Douglas Adams, but by the end of Arthur Conan Doyle, writing all these, he really wanted to just kill Sherlock Holmes off. I think you remember me talking about this, so that they didn't keep asking him to write more. In the end, he attempted to inflate his prices so high, crazy high, so that they'd stop asking. They kept on paying. So as a result, he became the highest paying author at the time.
Really?
Yeah, or one of at least. Yeah.
Ah.
So that's the trick.
He didn't want to do the work anymore.
No.
It's ridiculous. Wow.
It's I guess I will then for that much money.
Wow.
It's crazy. Apparently, did you? So in the story, when he's at the wedding or whatever, and they thank him for being the witness or whatever, they give him a sovereign, and I looked it up. That's £500 in today's money.
Oh wow!
And he decides to put it around his watch chain or something like that, pocket watch chain. Yeah, you're carrying around £500 on your pocket watch. That's crazy.
Wow.
Anyway. Any ideas, conclusions?
I've got nothing really, but I don't know if Devon has anything you want to add.
No.
So, finally, then, are we going to talk about how we rate it?
Yes.
Give it a number.
How many abductive reasonings out of deductive reasonings would you give this?
Abductive out of deductive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. First.
Okay, I'm going to give it. It is a classic, and it's kind of like objectively good. You may disagree with some of the happenings that happen in it, but I think it is good writing, and it's quite intelligent in the things it brings up. But so I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
8.
That's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Well, I was going to go 8, but I think I'd probably enjoy it a lot more than you do.
I don't know. Maybe.
One other bit I really enjoyed is at the end where the king says, "Oh, what a woman she was. Shame she wasn't on my level."
That's right.
Sherlock Holmes turns around and says, "Yes, she definitely was not on your level." Because he's a bit of a goober as well, isn't he? So she's so smart. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. It was quite witty, some of it. I'm probably going to have to give it a 9 then, because I really love these.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to go the other way, and I'll probably give it a 7, I think. I don't think I connect with it in the same way that you two both did. I recognise the importance of Sherlock Holmes, and what the place he has in that character has in literature. But and I think probably I could get more into it if I just had the time to connect with it, really.
I wanted to ask you guys one more thing on this sort of note, because you guys watch a lot of TV and films, don't you? And you don't really involve yourself with book too much, do you, or anything?
Yeah, not a big literature reader, consumer.
I wonder if you had to sort of try a different type of entertainment medium or whatever, what would it be? Like, I mean, there's all sorts out there, isn't there? Or maybe even a different genre of TV or film, I don't know.
I mean, you get a lot of people who are really into radio, and every single week they tune in to listen to their favourite radio presenter. And I was thinking, that sounds pretty cool. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, that sounds pretty trash. Like, nothing interesting happens on the radio anymore, anyway. Well, they used to have short stories and things like that, but now they've got literally just someone just sitting there with music and chatting Mac. So
I think podcasts are the new radio, you know?
Yeah.
Future radio is podcasts, I think.
Yeah.
Podcast stars killed the radio stars?
Not literally, I hope.
I spend majority of my day listening to lots of different podcasts. I get most of my news through podcasts because they come up really quickly. I've now begun to subscribe to a wider range of political leaning podcasts, so I'm trying to get a broader spectrum of influence, I suppose. I don't agree with everything I subscribe to, but so I'm getting my current affairs that way. I think what I'd love to spend more time doing is listening to music. I know that's something that we talk about on the show, we review music, but I haven't listened to probably any decent music. As you know, my favourite decade is the 80s. It's the most influential. But I know that there's other good music being produced and, created out there. But I haven't spent much time with it, and so I guess that would be something I'd like to do more of.
You used to have a go at me for listening to music when we were working. Like, you should be listening to podcasts.
Yeah, well, I think of my podcast listening as my university I feed my brain, and maybe music is. I'm desperate to catch up on all my podcasts so that each day while I'm working, I can just spend a couple of hours keeping up to date, and then choose something from Amazon Music to listen to for the rest of the day.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm aiming to get to. And I'm getting there. I'm catching up gradually, but I did get a long way behind, like 6 months behind. And I can't bring myself to delete stuff I haven't listened to that I subscribe to.
Sounds like you've got a problem.
I have, yeah. I need to listen to it all. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think for me it'd probably be magazines. I mean, generally I'll try anything. If someone says, "Oh yeah, that's really good, just try it," I'm like, "Yeah, all right." I'm not against any particular form of media, but I mean, I do watch anime as well. I wish I could watch more, maybe. But yeah.
So you're gonna say, I wish I could not watch anime anymore.
Makes sense. But I'm hooked. I'm addicted. No. Magazines interest me, but that's a lot of sitting around.
Yeah, I said what I wouldn't want to do. That's radio. but I would want to get back into reading a lot more, because I used to read a lot more than Ford did, but now these days he reads more than I do. If you class audiobooks, that is. But
I do a fair bit of reading outside of audiobooks as well. But,
I guess so. Yeah, but yeah, I used to love just getting engrossed in a story in a book and just literally rinsing a whole book in a week or a few days, or whatever. Just do that all the time, and now I just don't. So yeah, I want to get back into that, I suppose.
Well, now you finished university, maybe you can.
Man, I'm taking a break from reading.
Yeah, I suppose after uni, you're like, oh,
I don't see another word.
Yeah, no. Never again.
Right, I think that concludes that conversation. And I've just noticed from our show notes, our next assignment is going to be a film, and a film which I'm excited to watch again. I didn't realise it was going to be this one until just this very moment.
Omega Man.
Yes, the original film called The Omega Man. Well done, Devon.
Yeah.
That's good film knowledge. But the more recent up-to-date, Will Smith film, I Am Legend. So I can't remember who nominated that, but I'm in favour of watching that again.
With a lead of 75%.
Wow. Of the public votes,
Yeah.
So it sounds like definitely one to watch, Don't forget, listeners, you have a real hand in guiding us in our assignment chats. So in the links on all of our podcasts, and whether you're watching or listening to us through YouTube or through your podcast app, you can go to what's the app that the links linked to?
It's Polly.
Yeah. Something that you set up, don't you? And
we host a poll.
People get to vote on what we're going to do next. So there we are. That's where the links are, and that's how you can have an influence on what we do next. So we're going to be watching I Am Legend next time we come to our assignment chat.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ford.
Do follow us on all our media platforms. We're on Facebook, and that's probably it.
Okay. Right, I think that wraps it up for another one, and we'll look forward to being with you again soon. Anybody got anything you want to say to finish off with?
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, yes, thank you for listening. Don't forget to click on all the buttons that are available to make sure that you keep up to date with what we're doing and help us with our listenership ratings. So, and I'll just hand over to Devon to do his final line.
Bye.
That's not it.
That's not my final line, brother.
Well, you got to do the final line then.
It's the host that does it.
Oh, is it? I thought it was always Devon who does it. That'd be me then.
Yeah.
That's it. See you in a bit.